I am live on YouTube also. Ah, Matthias, darling, I see you. Welcome to the space. All right, we're
Grand
all
Rising, Grand Rising.
grand rising, my darling. I trust everybody can hear me and hear me clearly. Um, all right. Whew, pardon my tardiness this morning. One of us slept in from a late night. It was an all night party. Whew, last night. We did 2 live streams. Um, this morning, eyes forward. You ever wonder or notice it doesn't matter what direction you're going in, you're always forward? Oh, that's where your feet and your eyes are leading you. Always forward. Why? To see where you're going. You know when you're learning to drive and the instructor says to you, where you look, that's where the car is going to go. Well, the car is your body this morning. So keep your eyes forward, meaning look towards the solution. Always look towards the solution as opposed to complaining about the problem. As I tell us every day, we may have 99 problems, but there's one solution: the application of the law. Eyes forward every time. The law points us in the right direction. So if you're dealing with a situation where you just don't know what to do, what scripture did I see this morning? I forget. Don't turn your what does he say? King David said to God, he's like, "Oh, I want you to hear me when I call. If you don't hear me, I may as well die." Is what he says. And I was like, how dramatic. But do you notice something? You're always heard. You are always being heard. Who hears you? You do. You hear you. Before you said a word out of your mouth, you heard what you were going to say. This is why the scripture can tell you that God knows what you want before you ask. That's what it means. So you are always in possession of that solution. Even though it may appear that you don't see a solution. It looks like that sometimes. It can be overwhelming when you sit there and you go, what am I possibly going to do? The moment you've asked that question, what am I going to do? What is the best course of action? You have just employed the law of polarity because you are here and you want to be there, the pendulum. So when you ask yourself, where, what, how, you begin to get a response. How do you get a response? You get a desire to do something. Last night, I was on Lance Scurv's live stream on YouTube, and we were just wrapping up, and something said to me, go live on your platform. Now, last week, I heard that as well, and I dilly-dallied for about an hour, and then I said, oh, fine, I'll go. And I did. And during that live stream, I felt, you should have listened sooner. I do not know why I should have listened sooner. But I did say, the next time you want me to go live, I won't ask. I'll just go. And so last night, as soon as I finished there, I popped one open here. And lo and behold, someone stood out. And she said, I just happened to be on YouTube and saw this live stream and I was feeling kind of, low. And I've been in here now and I feel a lot better. And I thought to myself, eyes forward. You've always, even though it may not make sense to you at the time, even though it may not make sense to you at the time, follow that inclination, because that's, Neville Goddard calls it your fourth dimensional being. Some people call it your higher self. It's you. It is you. This is why Romans 8:28 can tell us, "For I know the plans I have towards you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you a future and a hope." That's what Romans 8:28 can tell you. Why can it say that to you? Who possibly knows? You do. But throughout the day, as we go about, we tend to pick up things that don't necessarily belong to us. And we allow them to weigh us down. And when they weigh us down, you don't hear properly anymore, because now you've got to work your way through all the muck and mire of everybody else's nonsense instead of being able to hear you, to get that subtle guidance. Remember that still small voice? That's you. And there's a reason why it's a still small voice. It doesn't holler at you. It doesn't holler. It speaks. And then you feel it and you follow the inclination and you fulfill what it is. So you keep your eyes forward at all times. Look where you are going. If you pay attention, everybody's got their head down most of the time in a phone or some kind of a device. We've got our heads down in it. I've seen people doing the crosswalk and they're on their phones. Like, they're not having a conversation. They're scrolling somewhere. And I'm like, dude, this is a turning light. If the driver doesn't see you and you don't see them, we're going to have problems. It's not just on a physical level that you keep your eyes forward. It is also on the spiritual plane that you keep your eyes forward. You keep your eyes forward because you begin to see where you are going and what you are doing, so that you can autocorrect. You can say, oh, I don't like this part. How can I make this situation a little better? But you've got to be able to see where you're going and what you're doing in order to make that change. And sometimes, as I've said before, we become overwhelmed with everything that is going on. There's a reason for that. When we are overwhelmed, the first thing we do is stop moving and we just sit there and go, I don't know what to do. And when you say, I don't know what to do, right? You don't do anything. That is the purpose of overwhelm. See it for what it is. But the way out of overwhelm is to, literally speaking, you started doing it. Stop what you're doing. And you look at the situation before you. Because the solution is right there. What do you need to do? There's too much going on? Then disconnect from something. Put a phone down. Put an iPad down. Go towards the silence for a moment. But sometimes we can be afraid of the silence because we think we don't know what's in it. You are in that silence. So you can't be afraid of yourself. Why not? Because you've been told, I know the plans I have towards you. We're going to discuss that another day about the all and being a thought in the mind of the all. We'll get there. But we keep our eyes forward at all times. Even though that situation may look a little bit bleak. Always ask the question, what is the best course of action? You don't have to say it out loud, but ask it. Because you've also been told, ask, and you shall receive. Why? What does that mean? It is the law of cause and effect. The question has within it the answer. How do you know? Plant a seed. The fruit is contained within the seed. That's law. So when you ask the question, the solution is also there, because the solution cannot exist without the question. So you see, eyes forward, because you are always going to be okay. You are, even though your eyes and all your other senses are telling you, you in hella trouble. Even though it says that to you, the more you keep looking at it and believing you are in hella trouble, the overwhelm sets in. And once the overwhelm sets in and you don't do anything about it, it begins to weigh you down. And whereas this little tiny thing, if we would step back from it for just a moment, you would always begin to see your way forward. Always. Because as I said before, according to law, cause and effect, they are travel buddies. One is contained within the other. They don't just happen. They are there together. Problem and solution are there together. But take the time. Take the time. Develop the practice, even if it is 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute. Develop the practice of sitting still. Just sit there. What are you going to do? I'm just going to sit there? Yes. Just sit there. Don't watch anything, don't listen to anything. Just sit there and breathe. That's it. A whole lot will transpire in that short space of time. Because what you're doing is developing your ear. You are developing your ear. You are listening. Imagine, if you will, you're walking down the street and somebody calls your name. Matthias! What's the first thing you do? You stop walking. You're like, what? Somebody just called me. And you turn and they will say your name again. And when they say your name again, you turn towards them. So when you're sitting for those 3 minutes, you are listening. Keenly listening. And when you sit there and you listen and you develop your ear, you're training your ear to hear your name. To hear whatever that subtle message is from the still small voice within. That's what you're doing. Some people call it developing your intuition. Intuition is a still small voice that speaks, not just with words, but with an urge or a sensation. And so if it speaks, it requires to be heard. And that's why you train your ear. You develop that intuition by listening. But some people say, well, I don't know how to meditate. I've tried before. You see what I told you about overwhelm? We feel like it's so big, it's too much. But if you look always forward, you'll see the pathway. Just sit and start to listen. You'll begin to hear the birds. You'll begin, if they're out there, you'll hear them. You'll hear that person with the souped up car drive by. You may hear the train. You may hear emergency services, ambulance, fire truck. You don't know, but you will hear it. Begin to do that. Because you're actually training yourself to look in the direction always eyes forward. That's why they're at the front of your head. Right? You look forward. This is what keeps us here and now. Because as we know, the design of the body is to look back, to reminisce, and to relive that thing from the past. But if you're looking forward, you're now. You're going towards where it is you want to go. So this morning, remember, we're going to spend just a moment in silence. Pick the time before you get out of bed or when you're getting into bed. If you're in the shower, take that time and begin to develop your ear so that you can hear when you're being spoken to. Not by me, not by your mom, not by your dad, not by anybody, but by the still small voice within. Right? Because that will remind you, you are always in the presence, not just of greatness, but you're always in the presence of great care. Remember Romans 8:28? Not to harm you. That. You are always in the presence of that. So practice listening so that you're always guided forward. Does that make sense today? I see you. Right? It's just one of those things. So be encouraged this morning to know that you are always heard. You're always guided. You are. Right? You are. Don't take that for granted. Don't. Revel in it. Because, as it says in that scripture again, it gives you a future and a hope. Right? That is very important. Because as you notice when you look around in the world today, many things drain. Many things drain us. But if you learn to listen and to go within, it seems so cheesy to say, but if you listen, you will know what to do. You will know what steps to take. Just simply take that time. Don't worry about, well, this person says to meditate like that. I got to do this for half an hour. 3 to 5 minutes. And the more you practice 3 to 5 minutes, the better you become at hearing. Right? And that's what will take away a lot of the overwhelm. When you feel like, I don't know how to do this, so you know what? Whatever. I'm just not going to bother. It's too hard. Those are the things. Begin to develop that every day because you're practicing. And the more you practice, the better you get. And the better you get, the better you get. This is the importance of it. Because then you'll notice you're always pointed in the right direction. Forward. Right? Does that make sense? Let's acknowledge who's in the space with us this morning. Let's see Twitter, because you're in my hand on the phone. Benji, hey, Imanon. Oh, who is? Ah, Chaos Legion Spawn here. I see you. And last boss, Luke and Shea Butter. Thank you for being here on this lovely Twitter morning. And on fan base, so Twitter, I've gotta put you down for a second. Fan base. Onyx, Zola, Toyera, Lala, Umar, Shanice, Elle, and Matthias. You're here on Fanbase. Welcome. YouTube, hello, David. The better man, I see you. Welcome to the space. And there's 3 more of you. I don't know who you are. Perhaps Empress Ella is here. But I welcome you. You're all here. Does that make sense today? The reason why we do what we do. Even though we may have heard, that's not going to make a difference. We may have heard a lot of things. But you've got to be able, now this is why listening to that still small voice is important. We're going to go through the day and we're going to hear a lot of things. We're going to hear a lot of things. And the scripture tells you to test every spirit. You know how you test it? By developing your ear and your intuition. Because once you do that, whatever's going on out there, you be able to navigate your way always towards the truth. Eyes forward. You'll be able to navigate your way. Tiffany and Meep. I see you guys. Does that make sense today? That when you are in the thick of it, that word overwhelmed just keeps coming back to me. When you are in the thick of it and you do not know what to do, stop. Take a moment. A couple deep breaths in through the nose, out through the nose, so that the body knows to calm itself, to relax. When it is relaxed, you can hear. Right? You can hear. You can sense. You can feel. It's almost like you're, in those movies when the creature is out there and you have to stand really still. Like Jurassic Park. They feel you when you move or when you're breathing too hard. Then you get to sense what's going on around you because you're still. That's the best part. So don't always run to always be doing something. And my son says, Mom, I'm bored. I'm like, oh, you fire types need always to be in action somewhere. Take a moment. If you can't sit still, walk. Dance. Move the body. The stillness doesn't mean you are always still on the outside. The stillness is within you. But you have to practice that. And one of the best ways to do it is just to sit there and listen. Listen. I'll tell you that every morning. Sit still and listen. What are you listening for? What are you expecting to hear? It doesn't matter. Like I said, you'll start to hear all the things going on the outside. You're just listening to them. You're not engaging them. You're just listening. And sooner or later, all the noise from the outside begins to fade away. And now you begin to hear what's going on the inside. That's what you're doing. And the more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it. because it serves a purpose. Always as a guide is the purpose. I mean, you'll hear something, do this, or go here, or call this person. And you do it. You simply do it. Because why? You've learned to trust that still small voice within. Does that make sense today? That's how we do it. And by trusting that still small voice within, that is how you can always keep your eyes forward. Because that trust, it's like an invisible tether, an invisible string. It doesn't drag you anywhere, but it guides you. It just simply guides you. So make that a thing in your day. Carve out that, look, there's 24 hours. You can find 5 minutes. Right? You can find 5 minutes. You go to the bathroom and you're sitting on the potty. You got your phone in your hand. Next thing, you're done on the potty, but your phone is in your hand. Right? And you're like, I'm still here. What am I doing? Right? We have 5 minutes we can use. Shanice, darling, share. Shanice?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I thought you were going to tell me something.
No, I didn't know I was on. Unmuted. I'm actually walking in the house. Sorry.
It's okay, honey. I just like to make time so that we can share. Empress Ella. Yes. See, you heard your name from that distance, didn't you? There you go. She said she was listening, but her phone was over there and she was over here. And she happened to what? Hear her name. So she had to pick up the phone. This is what you do. You listen. If you remember nothing from today, remember this. You are listening. Some people say, oh, yeah, you're not your thoughts. Don't let your thoughts lead you away. You are the person having the thought. That's why you listen. You listen. Right? That's why some of these people can be known as the dog whisperer, the horse whisperer. Because they listen. They've developed this thing where they can understand what's happening without any words being said. It's not some woo-woo kind of thing. It is the law of vibration because they can feel it. And when it changes, it's the subtlety. You do it as well. But it's just you haven't practiced it as long as they have. You can walk into any space and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, the hair on the back of your head stands up. You're like, well, what's going on in here? Or you walk in and you're like, oh, this feels nice. Oh, it's so refreshing to be here. So my dad always says, he goes, I come to your house and it's so calm and peaceful. I'm like, well, you know how it is. Right? You have that ability. Develop it now. It'll save you a great deal of stuff. It just will. So that's what I want to share with you this morning. You keep your eyes forward. Because when your eyes are forward, your ears are wide open. They work together, eyes and ears. They work together. So remember that today. take that simple 5 minutes. Let me say it again. If you can listen to that song on repeat, you can hear this again. Right? Carve out that 5 minutes. The same time every day. And the thing is, if you usually have to, this is how magnificent your body is when you train it correctly. If you say, I do this every day at 1 o'clock, by 10 to 1, your body has already pricked you up and said, hey, it's just about 1. Are we going to do that thing? It begins to anticipate what you are going to do. So if you've trained it to do that for those 5 minutes, what else have you trained it to do? This is why we behave the way we do. Right? If you're always looking for a fight, you've primed your body to do such a thing. Just by doing the thing consistently, you've trained your body to look for that thing. It always says, ooh, scanning. And when it does that, then all of a sudden we say, man, why am I always in this? Why is this always happening to me? Because you trained your body to do it.
Angela.
Yes.
That is a form of cell memory, I believe.
It's the law of correspondence, but you can call it cell. That's what science calls it, cell memory.
Yeah.
But it's correspondence, right? Because it's you're doing the thing that's within. You're now in alignment.
And you've been doing it so much that your body remembers. Like you said, it perks you up. Hey,
exactly.
Are we going to do that thing? So yeah, that's cell memory. Cool.
Exactly. It is correspondence. It is cause and effect. Because you do this one thing, you can expect this thing to happen. And we do it every day. Right? So that's why I say if you do that 5 minutes every day at the same time, within a week, you're not even going to need your timer because you will know when 5 minutes has passed. Your body will remember and it will prompt you. Look at how beautiful that is. When you use it for your own benefit. Now, think about it, how it can be used against. That's why I tell you, always be the one who's driving you. Keep those eyes forward because you know. Because, I didn't want to be here. Well, how'd you get there? What'd you do to get there? I like how you said it, though, Shanice, cell memory, because then I remember science and what they tell you. But that's why I always say the law. Yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? Like, it just is.
I just read about it. Matter of fact, I was reading about it in one of my meditation or my Qigong books. They were talking about that. Once you get something and you've done it for a minute, your body is called cell memory, muscle memory. Mm-hmm. Your body remembers and starts to prepare itself even before you're actually doing it. I love that.
Yes. And that's why and I always use myself as the example here because I know what an argument is. I know how to have those. And so you've primed yourself to do that thing. And then you do it and you're like, why did I do that? So start to practice. Like I said last night, choose those emotions you want to experience. That's part of it. To choose that emotion is to prime your body for it by way of practice. It is a very beautiful servant. It helps you. But it does not know how to lead you. It is an assistant, not the boss. Yes, Empressella. It doesn't matter what time you fall asleep, you wake up at 7:30 because you've practiced it. You set the alarm and you're like, oh, it's that time. Right? Good morning, Tracy. I see you. Welcome to the space. So, keep your eyes forward and your ears will be open. You'll hear and begin to practice. Yes, Shanice, tell me.
I was gonna say too, like, okay, what would you say to people who like, okay, like what Empress Ella just mentioned about, okay, even though we set our clocks and we tell ourselves, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 6:30, 6:30 gets here, you wake up, but either your body or your mind, I know we've all been through this because I've been through that too. Like I'll say I'm gonna get up at 6:30, 6:30 comes, but it's either your body or your mind is like, oh, I want to lay here, I want to lay here, I want to lay here. Which one is it, and how do we overcome that? How do we push ourselves to be like, all right, let's get up out of this bed?
That's a great question. I think Sal kind of broached on that last night when he talked about procrastination, right? You lay there and it's always in the mind. What is it that you're trying to avoid getting out of bed to do? That's the thing. And it's like that's why when sometimes we allow ourselves to go by feelings, that's what will keep you laying in the bed. I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to. But there's certain things that must be done. Whether or not you feel like doing it. Right? You don't feel like brushing your teeth, but hey, we got to do that. You don't feel like eating, but you must nourish the body. Right? You get up out of the bed by recognizing the thing that it is you are avoiding getting out of bed for. You say, oh man, I got to go do that again today.
So it's the mind. Because like I said, I've been like, all right, I'm gonna get up at this time, and I will wake up before the alarm goes off, and I'll be like, it feels so good in this bed. I wanna lay here. I wanna lay here. So that's the mind telling you, but your body didn't already told you, like, get up.
Exactly. Because you've programmed the body to do it. But like I say, it's just that thing that you are trying to avoid doing. I remember David Goggins said, he says he looks at his running shoes for sometimes a half an hour before he puts them on because he just does not want to go running. But he does it. That's why you do it. It's not based on a feeling. I don't want to today. I can't get out of bed. I just don't want to do this. Then you ask yourself, so why are you doing it then? Right? What's the reasoning here? You shouldn't have to force yourself. You see, this is why habits are helpful. Because they compel you to do it. That's what the habit always must be fulfilled. So if you develop the habit of going and doing what it is, then it'll get done because that's the habit. Because the habit doesn't care about your feelings. The habit must be fulfilled at all times. And that's why it seems like such a thing it can seem cruel at a time. But if you look at it, it has a very important purpose. If you didn't have that habit, some of us, we'd never move. Because we get the two things mixed up. We think about feelings instead of what must be done. I don't want to shovel the sidewalk. But you do it.
Once it's done, but once it's done, once you get over that hump, you feel so much better.
The satisfaction.
Yes.
And that's the habit being fulfilled. Then you can sit there and go, that's what it is, right? Tracy, I did that this morning when my alarm went off at 6 a.m. I asked God to give me his strength to go ahead and get up. And he does every time. I got up and spent time with him this morning. Exactly. When you get up and you train yourself to listen, I told you you're in the company of greatness when you're listening to the still small voice within you. Right? And when you get up and you start to do it, when you don't do it, You see how it feels off when you don't do it? But then when you do it, you're like, oh, I needed that. There is a, this is why the law does not reward nor does it punish. You act of your own volition. You act of your own, we call it free will, but you act on you just wanting to be there. You don't do it for the reward, nor do you do it for the fear of being punished. You just do it because that is your desire. It's like if you're in a relationship, you just want to be around them. You don't do it because, ooh, I'm going to get me a new pair of shoes today. No, you are around them because you want to be in their presence. And you don't want anything other than to be there. But when you are in their presence, what's that scripture tell you? In the presence of the Lord is the fullness of joy. That's what it is. You go there because you just want to be there. And that's why if you practice 5 minutes just listening to the still small voice within you, you're going to begin to realize this is such a pleasure to be there. And if anything comes along to disrupt that peace of mind, oh, you're like, no, this is my peace of mind. And you protect it at all costs. You don't let anybody disrupt you from that. Just because you want to be there. Not because you're forced to be there. But because you actually want to be there. That is developed, you know. It's just a thing that you develop. A habit. Right? Hey, Nexodus, I see you. Lou, hello. I hope Mom is well today. But does that make sense today as we get up? Ultra, I see you. So you understand. Keep those eyes forward. The ears will open. And take that 5 minutes. And know that if you tell your body, look, I got you. We're going to get this done. And you train it. Teach it to do what you want it to do. Well, David, that is a good point. And that's why I always ask, David said, maybe what you're getting up to do isn't what you should be doing. That's why I said, because you tend to procrastinate, right? So if you're procrastinating, you got to ask yourself, what am I trying to avoid here? And then when you start to ask that question, then you begin to get a better understanding of, just like David said, perhaps you shouldn't be doing it. But you won't know until you ask the question. Right? You won't know until you ask the question. Because now you have to learn and understand, why am I doing this? We all know when that alarm goes off when we get up, when we go to work, we know exactly why we're there. They're called bills. Right? That's why we go. That's why people tell you, do what you're loving and do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. You'll just get up. Again, that's why people can ask you, if money wasn't a factor, what would you be doing? That's why they ask you those questions. When you ask yourself a question, you will always get an answer. Lady D, good morning, darling. Right? We always get those things. But honesty with self, being honest with yourself, is of the utmost importance. I learned that at a young age. You can lie to anybody, just not yourself. Because you'll feel it. Right? I see you all. But remember that today. 5 minutes, y'all. 5 minutes. Just give yourself 5 minutes. And from that 5 minutes, you may be strengthened into doing more than 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Because you want to, as the song says, you want to tarry there. You just want to linger right there. Because it feels so nice. Right? It feels so nice to just be in that presence. That's what I'll leave you with this morning, because it is a beautiful thing. It is a most beautiful thing when you begin to listen to that still small voice within you. And instead of having a lifestyle of, oh, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? What should I do? No. Your lifestyle now becomes, Tracy, do this. I know you wanted to do for a long time. Here's your opportunity. And we say, oh, what a coincidence. But develop the lifestyle of being led always to your greatest and highest. As opposed to, what should I do now? That's a situational life. But a lifestyle, you're always guided to do the thing and to do it well. You're always guided. That's a great way to live. At least I think it is. Because you never have to wonder, what's next? You don't. Right? It is a place of peace to live from that. Living from a place of stillness within. Right? That's how it works. But we train ourselves. Ultra? Really? 4:44 a.m.? That is awesome. Because, your eyes just pop open. And you're like, oh, and you look at the clock. You're like, oh, wow. Yeah. I like that. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other comments or questions. But yes, everyone, that's what it is. And so, remember, January 27th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Q&A. Yes. I like what you said, Lady D, to Tracy. It is a beautiful, rewarding lifestyle to start the day off with God. You see, because we know. It's just that we've given it the name God. And sometimes that word, I just remember the guy in the Matrix. He goes, it's a word, but it is what the word implies. And sometimes you go through your day, you recognize that that word has taken on its own meaning. When you name it, it's got this thing. But we all know because we can feel it. We know that there's something bigger. Not in a scary way, but in an all-encompassing way. And the curiosity to get to know it is a beautiful place. And you get to know somebody how? By spending time with them. That's how you get to know someone. By spending time with them. So, I leave you with that this morning. I always say that, and then we're just here. Are there any questions before we go and jump right into our day if we haven't already started? I've got so many hands going right now. And if not, remember, you are always in the presence of greatness. May you take the time to listen to that still small voice within you. Always. You see, even though you may hear these things every day, there are plenty of things, other things that we hear every day, all day. There's a reason why things are on repeat. Understand the law of gender and you'll get it. It's on repeat because it is consistently being projected towards you. And what happens with a persistently projected thought? It takes root, does it not? And it brings forth an offspring every time. So that's why if you hear what is going on in the world 30 times, you've got to hear this 50. Why? Because the most persistent thing is the one that will take root in your life. And the law, when that takes a hold of you, you literally change. That's what science will tell you. You change those thoughts, you can change your DNA. All your cells will change. Dr. Bruce Lipton recognized this. You can, depending on what thoughts you have, you can unlock certain genes just by that thought and how persistent it is. So you see, you look at what we have the power to do. People always tell you, well, you've got a computer in your hands. Your phone. Look at how powerful that phone is. But the phone was designed to imitate your mind. Always go to the source. For anybody who codes, they tell you, oh, source code. You want to fix the problem, go to the source. Right? So, remember that. Exactly, Lady D. It is that power within. But because we've said it so much, it now becomes cliche. You hear it so much, you're deaf to it. Right? See it so much, you're blind to it. That's why. If you spend that 5 minutes in the day, you are always pointed forward. The eyes are always forward and you are clear. It's like cleansing the palate all the time. You know when you go to the perfume counter and you smell so many, they give you the coffee beans to smell to clear the palate. That's what the law does for you every day. Clears the palate of what's going on so that you're always getting a true sense of what's actually happening in your world. And that's why you take the time to do it. That's why. I listened back to one of these recordings yesterday and I thought to myself, oh my God, are you really yelling at people, Angela? That's what I felt like. I'm like, oh no. But you hear me, right? You understand what I'm saying. Practice. Practice what it is you want to develop. And be the best at it. And don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Because if you do you and they do them, we all come together and it all gets done. Anywho, countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Twitter, I love you. And I will see you on the morrow, my beautiful friends. Much love. Twitter is closed. Twitter is closed. Somebody just texted me. It's working. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Fan base. I see you. Hello, Summer Rose. I see you. I was thinking of you. I was thinking of you because I hadn't seen you in a bit and I missed you. Anywho, you'll catch the replay if you'd like on either YouTube or Twitter. That's where the replays are. But that's all I wanted to say to you today on this lovely day. Go forth and spend some time in the quiet so that you can always keep your eyes forward and you know where you're going and what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's what I want to tell you. Much love, fan base. I'll see you in the morning. Fan base is closed. Hey, YouTube. That's what we do, y'alls. Any other questions before we go? So that we can start our day, whatever that is. And oh, since you're still here, YouTube, if there's ever a topic you want covered for a deeper understanding of the law and how it works, always slide into my DMs if you have a question with that. Does that make sense? Right? Always slide into my DMs because I got to know who that is. I'm like, I don't know nobody with that area code, but not that I can remember. But that's all I'll tell you today. I just want to make sure. Oh, Ultra, thank you. Thank you. David, the better man, Empress Ella, Tracy, and then Ultra and Nexodus, and Lady D. Thank you all for being here today and spending time with me. And I will see you again later on. It's only 6:39 for me right now. I want to finish that recording for the meditation so I can post it for you guys. But check in my description under the videos, and if you have any questions, just holla at your girl. Tracy, you have an incredibly beautiful day too. And the better man, thank you. Yeah, I've got to start doing more collaborations because some of you have really great things to share, and I would like you to be able to share them, and so that we can all learn and grow from each other's experiences, you know? So it's good. It's a good time to be had by all. There's 8 of you here. But thank you all for being here. And again, you can slide into my DMs if you've got questions. And yeah, we'll change our lives one day at a time, one moment at a time. Right? So you don't have to beat yourself up because everything changes with time. Right? Just know as long as you remain faithful to practice, you already know the outcome, do you not? Cause and effect. All right, y'all. I love you lots, and I look forward to your messages. And I'm also eager for the 27th of January. I am really looking forward to that workshop because I know you guys always come with these questions that are awesome. And so I'm looking forward to that. And yes, I am. Alrighty then. Much love, everybody. Much love.